else to understand what other states are doing and what is the contribution which is coming to the Jammu and Kashmir. So this present webinar is on evolving the perfect blended learning model. Now you see the word, it is evolving and perfect. These two words we have to really consider. I congratulate Education World for organizing very important webinar and inviting eminent scholars to address as a panelist. So I will like to first introduce Mr. Aftab Ahmed Shah. He is a senior academic mentor. Aftab Shah is presently the academic mentor of Tyndal-Biscoe and Millennial Society, Srinagar. He has been awarded the Best Teacher Award by Gandhi Global Congress in the year 2008. So it's a very recent award he got. He has tracked to high altitude lakes in the Kashmir Valley and also crossed the famous Dal Lake 5 times by swimming across the lake as a student of the same school. So if this kind of mentor we have, the one who has done academics as well as physical activity, I'm sure he will be contributing much more in this webinar. The second panelist which we have is Mrs Sunita Gupta. She is founding chairperson, Heritage School Jammu. So this is one of the very prestigious private school in Jammu. The school boasts of state-of-art infrastructure and has evolved cutting-edge teaching technique using her expertise in the field. She has attended many workshops and international conferences, of which one was at the National College for School Leadership, that is in Nottingham, UK. So she has a good experience nationally as well as international experience also. She has recently been nominated as a member of consultation of a complaint committee under sexual harassment for women at workplace. And all of us, we know this act has come in 2013 by the government of Jammu and Kashmir. So she is contributing there. So we are really looking forward to listen from her. The third panelist is Dr. Kunal Anand. He's a principal of Delhi Public School Udhampur and a general secretary of Jammu.
If I want to see the others, how do I see?
Sahoday School Complex. So when I saw here, it's a school complex. So I saw in a, even in NEP also, they are talking about school complexes. So I'm sure his expertise will definitely help to understand the whole system of school complex. He has vast experience and expertise in heading a big team. Invited as a panelist is definitely in many places because of his experience. He was a keynote speaker and a resource person for various national and international conferences organized by various CBSC, national agencies, international organization, etc. He is awarded with many state and national educational awards also. So we have definitely, he's an eminent scholar and he is an awardee. He won 2 awards for 100 highly effective principles of a India Award by AKS Educational Services. So we have got awardee who was awarded for the educational services, as well as he won the Principal of the Year Award by Times Now and Franchisee India. So we can see his award is ranging from one to another. Another award he got is from a Bharatiya Shiksha Salman Puraskar presented by Murli Manohar Joshi, and International Education Excellence Award by Sunil Shastri. So that kind of scholar we have. So this panel is a very rich panel. I will like to first invite to speak Mr. Aftab Ahmed Shah, because he will be speaking. The whole format is very simple. Every speaker will be speaking for 3 to 4 minutes, and after that I will be asking questions, and if the time is left, then we will ask others also to ask the question. So first I will be inviting Mr. Aftab Ahmed Shah.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, very clear.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Now I am privileged. Good afternoon. I am privileged to come on this platform and to be able to share some of the views on evolving an effective blended learning module. Blended learning module has emerged an important teaching learning approach, whether it is encouraging students to have 21st century competency as educators, we all understand that blended learning does not mean skipping classroom training, because it is fantastic. It is actually adding in value, enhancing and making learning better. So while designing an effective module, it is important to think about different dimensions of enhancing learning experiences of the students and the ways we can improve that. Since blended learning is relatively experimental, we must remember that a new way of learning can be difficult, especially when one does not know how to approach it. A module should therefore minimize the learning struggles for the students. A module should therefore minimize the learning struggles for the students. We need to communicate clearly. We need to be communicating clearly to the students that what we are expecting from them at different stages. We must avoid overly lengthy tasks, especially online. We can instead think of breaking down the content into doable chunks. It would be useful to have pause and reflective activities at the end of each chunk. This will help to hold students' engagement for longer. Another important aspect that we need to think if while putting together the building blocks of a blended learning module together is to approach and present the material in such a way so that it becomes more engaging and it enhances the learning experiences of the students. In my opinion, a module should not only lead to more robust, engaging and need-based learning, but most importantly, a joyful experience too. This will lead to better results and reduce dropouts too. Mapping and auditing a module is important. It is worth thinking, what are the kind of outcomes we want from the students? We are all in areas of teaching where we are beyond simply wanting a declarative outcome from students. We are wanting our students to use knowledge, to develop and use cognitive skills, be able to develop self-regulation, teamwork, and individual research skills. Knowing whether or not we are achieving the outcomes is important because it helps to take decisions, which are important, like what kind of learning experience we want our children to have and whether there is an alignment between what we want our children to achieve and the activities we ask them to do and the ways we use to assess them. It is worth to think about this in order to achieve a perfect balance between what learning outcomes and desired and how do we get them. It is important that teaching methodologies and assessment tasks are aligned to the learning activities. The role or assessment can't be neglected. Creative and productive assessment tasks are therefore the soul of a good learning module. In order to make a learning module effective, It is important that it is engaging and instructors can play a vital role in this. A well-planned module needs a good execution. Instructors therefore need to be highly creative and proactive. It is important that they are able to make a strong personal connection and with the learners. Let's not forget our learners want recognition, and this is true with all modes of interaction. I strongly believe that keeping things simple is very important. It is important to design a module in such a way which would lead to enhanced learning and decrease dropouts from the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very nicely you have explained. Before I give my comment, I would like to invite Mrs. Sunita Gupta, and she will be 3 to 4 minutes. She will be expressing her thoughts on blended learning. Sunita Gupta.
Just a minute, Aftab ji, can you switch on your video? Aftab, can we see you? Because because people would like to see you, and we have been talking, and I've heard a lot about when we were interacting about your module about blended learning. So please switch on your camera. It would be nice. Thank you so much. Sunita, over to you.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's a very interesting discussion we are here for, because day before only our education minister, Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal, at the IIT Bombay function that he was there for to celebrate the birthday of Dr. Abdul Kalam, he has been very categoric about the NEP and the aspirations he has about the implementation part, which he feels we can do very successfully in India. Because in his speech, he has talked about that India has always been very good at accepting new things. And since he felt the previous policy was there for last 34 years, so I'm sure he has put all his faith in the education system of India, and he feels we can do that, especially to bring India at a global circuit. Now, coming to, as I talked about it, NEP has replaced a policy which was there for last 34 years. So it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to be a hit and trial, but I think India was already on the path of making few changes for past 4-5 years. Yes, online programs were already existing in most of the schools. Even the government schools were doing the online programs. A lot of private sectors, people were also there who were putting in all the efforts regarding that. And I think the smart classes was the key to this online education in most of the schools. And I also feel since this has triggered a tectonic shift, I am sure it's going to trigger a lot of changes, a lot of movements, and I'm sure it'll be for good. Coming to the new NEP, I have to mention few things. It is talking about multidisciplinary features. And I think that is the need of the hour, because I believe in the global market nowadays, when our children are competing so well, it is the need where it is integrated studies have to be done. And I think the blending models are the best models to prepare our children for the coming generations to compete at the international level. And I think, and because this NEP is offering the flexibility of subjects, I think that is very important, because that pressure with which our children were combating this pressure was very difficult time for them, where it is, if you have opted for a stream and you're not able to compete or not able to do well, and then you had no choice to move out. But I think this NEP is giving these options. And I think the blended education, the models, what already few of us were using, I think in the primary sector, most of the private schools, or I would say even the government schools, were already using few of the models. And I think they were working very well for us. I only believe, and I strongly have faith in our education system, that I'm sure we will be able to tide over this difficult time, especially with this, the social distancing is making, I think, is making life difficult for our children, where they are adapting to this online teaching. But I am sure with the help of the three major stakeholders, that is the parents, that is the teachers, and our students, we will be able to tide over this as well.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Gupta. Very nicely you have explained the blended learning model which is there, and online education has really taken a, because of I can say lockdown, the school have started with a in a big way online education, and some of the schools have a very good strong platform also by which they are giving the education. Very nice. Now I will like to invite Mr. Raju Chowdhary, who is from a KC group of industries in Jammu. So Mr. Chaudhary will give you a very different perspective to us. So Mr. Chaudhary, please. Mr. Chaudhary,
You're on mute. आप mute पे है राजू जी. You're on mute.
Is that all right now?
Now it's clear.
To everybody, my co-panelists, we also have KC Educational Society, of which KC Public School, KC Law College, and KC BA College are parts. This the new education policy, which has come after say about 30 years, is quite welcome, and this was needed. You know, we've been going up it in the old manners, but this new education policy has opened up many new avenues. Can I be heard? Is that all right?
Yes.
Clear.
But unfortunately, when this new education policy was unfurled, we've had this COVID issue, and because of that, we've had to resort to, you know, like they said, necessity is the mother of invention. So we've had to resort to this new era of teaching children at home. But in J&K, we've had some challenges like 2G, where, you know, the network has not been working well. But we've been telling our students, their parents, they've been counseled, and I would give it to the credit that they have spent some extra money also, and most of them have had the lease lines put so that the students' education does not suffer. And I would say that with this new thing, as they are learning sitting at home, they have been able to, I would say, this has helped them in critical thinking through inquiry, discovery, and discussion, which they sit at home, they get hold of all the stuff from the internet and other things, and the ways from rote learning, we're coming to this a new concept because of the new NEP policy and this corona thing. So I would welcome this new policy, and I think the students have not suffered that much staying at home, and they have learned during all this 6-7 months. They have not missed out much on what they could learn sitting at school. So the teachers have been very enthusiastic, very hardworking, and they have been, dedicated to ensure that all the students, like, they take their attendance, they see what they do at home, they interact with them. So I think it's been a new experience. So I would not say it's a good experience, but it's a new experience, and we have dealt with the corona and learned to live with it. And the students have learned during this time, and they have not suffered.
Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary. Now I will like to invite Dr. Kunal Anand, because Dr. Chaudhary has very clearly given us the 3 pedagogies which he is using: inquiry-based, discussion, discovery. Now we need to listen from Dr. Kunal, and I expect from him, like, he will be telling us more about blended learning and how it has impacted students' life. Please.
Thank you, Reeta ma'am, and I am much privileged to be among the august educationists of Jammu, Rohini ma'am, Neetam, Raju sir, Nandan sir. I am highly, highly privileged to be a part of such an elite group of educationists. Thank you so much, Sapna ma'am, for inviting me over here. Well, my take, because when you're the last speaker, you don't have much to talk about, because in the last 1.5 hours, much has been spoken about NEP. A lot have been deliberated upon the deliberations. A lot has been talked about the implementation and blended learning process. What I would like to pin over here, definitely, we all are going through a very difficult situation, which is COVID-19, and that has impacted education sector the most. Whether we are doing online classes, we are doing a lot of activities, but yes, that blended learning, because what I understand from a blended learning is not just about online teaching or just about school teaching. Blended learning has to be a perfect blend between all the educational elements required for the betterment of our students and upliftment of our teaching fraternity. So blended learning, just narrowing it down to an online classes, I think is not a very positive idea, because blended learning requires teachers' inputs, parents' inputs. It requires children, the way they are, like what Raju sir also said, and Sunita aunty also said, that there is a lot of problem with J&K with the 2G system. But the teaching fraternity has proven beyond the iota of doubt that come what may, teaching will not be stopped. I remember there was a discussion in the month of April initially when the lockdown was there, and as edu leaders, we were thinking probably we have to declare 2020-21 as a zero session. But with due respect, there were is sitting right here. She was the one who said, "Don't worry, let us see how the things will shape up and see 8 months down the line." Today, we are interacting on every platform. If NEP would have come to us in the routine, like the way it comes, other policies come, I hardly think anyone would have come across and had a deliberation on the same. But today, in the last 3 months, roughly, every alternate day, we have eminent people speaking about the NEP, and so much learning has come out. Each and every point, line by line, is discussed, and so many outputs have come up. So I would say this is the perfect time where, as edu leaders, principals, promoters, everybody is learning so much. This is blended learning for me. My blending learning is not just left to my classrooms and online classes with my students. When teachers are coming up with new ideas of promoting various events online, I see investor ceremonies happening online. I see quizzes happening online. I see commerce festivals happening online. So much is going online. So where are we left behind? No way. This blended learning process should be there in our system now. It should not be taken away. If we are talking about when the things get normalized, we are coming back to school. I guess very rightly this blended, this new era of online teaching has given a new avenue. Initially, we used to have those, stay backs for the children who are not performing that very well, for the teachers who are not able to complete their work at home. So that was the worst thing, that a teacher and a student wants a stay back after the school timing. But now with this online teaching, we can always eradicate this issue. Go back at 2:30, go back home, relax, have lunch, have a coffee, come back at 6 o'clock for an online class. This is what blended learning is preparing here. And secondly, what was I was supposed to talk about? How are we going to recruit teachers? Because a lot of colleges are not giving blended learning. So I think Raju sir would be able to give us much more insight about this thing, that how beautifully colleges are also doing this thing. But if you want your teachers to be recruited properly, the idea is you should make them ensure we are not just talking, we are making our teachers learn and train for the same. If the training of the teachers are in place, definitely the process can be taken up very strongly ahead. So that is my take on blended learning and anything. Thank you.
Very nice, Dr. Anand. Very nicely spoken about the even festivals, celebrations, and quizzes are also now you're doing with the students. So you have not stopped. You have really engaged students very well. So thank you so much. Now I think so. We are going on a second round where I will be asking few questions, and we will be all the panelists will be answering. So first question goes to Mr. Aftab Ahmed Shah. Mr. Aftab, I would like to know from you, like COVID and NEP came one after the other, and both are creating challenges and changes. What changes have you envisaged for your school or your state for that matter? Mr. Aftab, you have to unmute yourself.
I'll just call him up. दूसरे से ले लीजिए question जब तक.
Okay. So same question maybe I can ask to. Okay, I'll wait for him to give answer. Now my next question is to Mrs. Sunita Gupta, where what we will like to know from her is the schools, they are definitely gone on an online platform and doing really very good. So, madam, what I will like from you is if you can explain us what are the challenges you are facing in blended learning process? Can you narrate best practice which you have experienced or observed in your school, or if you have heard or read some best practice?
Yeah,
So
Sapna has been to my school and she has seen that in our school we were already doing mixed blending, but the only thing was probably it was not streamlined. So,
Okay.
but I think now with so much of discussion, I think the system is going to be streamlined, starting from a teacher training program, because that holds the key to the implementation. And as Kunal has just pointed out, we have to realize 3 stakeholders have to be aligned. We all have to have an attitude shift of learning, whether it is parents who have adjusted so well to the online classes, teachers who probably few of never knew how to, who didn't have a very clear-cut idea about the use of technology. But see, just in a month's time, when all the private schools, especially in Jammu with all the 2G problems, they learned it so well and they have been doing a tremendous job in this. And I think, and the feedback that we do get from the parents is, and the children, they all are so happy. So I think only thing is missing in this entire program is human to human touch, face to face touch. And I think the most important thing is a culture which is prevalent on the campuses of the school. So children are definitely missing on that. But if you already check in most of the elementary schools, we have been implementing the rotational model, which is the mixed blending learning. So, which is a child was getting an opportunity to go to different areas, and which was enabling him to learn better and have a better insight about the concepts. That would be missing because on online, though the teachers are trying to compensate it by doing a lot of hands-on activities, lot of they're doing the dancing, the aerobics is happening, the yoga sessions are happening. But yes, I think the on-campus, the thrill of being there with your peer group, the elementary schools would be missing on it for a long time. Coming to our middle schools and the senior classes, I think the self-blend model would, which is already, I think most of the schools which were using technology, or the children who were aspiring for some better prospects in life were already using it. They were using the information provided by the school, whether it was online or it was provided by the teachers. But then at the same time, they were making a choice of enhancing their education by taking some other high input classes. It could be anything, like they were also online or they were contact classes. So I think the need would be, once the schools start, I think the self-blend model is the best option, which the children would like, because it is, they will have to be away from a regular tuition classes, but they will have a choice. Children who want to enhance their education or the prospects for better colleges, will have this option available. And I think most of the technology IT companies are already in fray, providing with so many options, assessment options, so many enhancement programs. So I think this would be the best model as per me.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Gupta. So you have talked about assessment. Now I will like to ask question to
Aftab ji is joined, so Aftab can speak now. Aftab, please. He got disconnected, so he's ready to speak, but he will not be. Camera is not on. Aftab ji, please.
Okay. After the question, maybe you have not heard, so I will repeat the question for you. The question which we want to really know from you is COVID and NEP came one after the other. Both are creating challenges and changes. What changes have you envisaged for your school or your state?
The NEP has definitely thrown a lot of challenges. Like every other educational institute, we also realize the transition that has taken place or will have to take place in future as swift as possible for both teachers and students. For this, we are engaged in revisiting all those areas which are directly or indirectly related to this transition. We understand that it is not rooting out what is already in place, but modifying it to suit the new demands, whether it is COVID-19 related scenario or NEP. Fortunately, there are a lot of things which are unique to TBMS schools, which are in alignment with what NEP envisages. We desire to improve our learning modules to make them more productive and practical, keeping the new demands under consideration. We're also engaged in improving our teacher training programs, which are focused to help our teacher understand the expected learning outcomes better when it comes to NEP. Our focus is also on helping the teachers use and design methodology which would suit blended learning, which has emerged as one of the important methods. Thank you.
Okay, great. Very nicely explained. Both sides you are working very hard. Now I would like to ask question to Mr. Chowdhary. Mr. Chowdhary, how you will evaluate the effect of blended learning in your school program as well as on the students? How you are going to assess or evaluate because it is now part of your school program. So what are the process you are taking for the assessment of the children as well as for the program?
Actually, what has happened is that everything happened all of a sudden, and we have the teacher faculty, the principal. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Clear.
Yeah. So everybody has, it happened suddenly, but we have been able to frame a actual kind of a timetable and a framework by which it has become in a way that it is done in a method. It's not that something which is going in a haphazard manner. So, and we have seen that, when the teachers assess the students, how they have learned for a subject, there have been exams taking place, there have been various ways in which they assess the students, and then the coordinators and the principals assess the teachers themselves. So it is an ongoing process which is happening, which is being fine-tuned, and I hope, like I said, it became necessary. That's why. So nobody was really prepared for it. So when it happened, then we are smart if we make that into a process, and if eventuality like this arises again, we are there with a defined. It'll be, I think, laid down that okay, this happens, then this is how it should be done. This happened, I think, 19 the plague, and now this has happened. I hope it doesn't happen too fast now again, but I'm sure the processes and everything and the way we evaluate people will learn from this, and it will be put in a place so that a proper method is there in future, and this is our learning ground. So let's hope the learning ground finishes fast and we are able to come back to schools like we were. And like we said that, the camaraderie, the peer thing is all missed. But the good thing is that we will be prepared for this eventuality also. And the teachers have done a commendable job. And the students have also, taken, like the class 12 students, they've been able to sit at home and prepare for their, the other exams also, and while doing their online learning. So I think it's a thing which has happened, and we've learned from it, and the processes will be there. Thank you.
Can I ask a question now?
Yeah.
Rita, if you allow me. So, like Sunita said that I visited a school, so I also had an honor to take 2 sessions with her school teachers, and that time also they had started with the exams. So the exams were and the other schools also which I'm dealing with, like Rohini School and others. I'm a little bit knowledge is dangerous, so I want you all to answer. That is it like the questions which they were answering and the papers which the children were doing, was it the same method which we are talking about blended learning? So in your capacity as school management, whether it is Srinagar or Jammu, were you able to reduce the syllabus on your own and just based on more experiential learning, or did you all carry on with the same method which like pen and paper test which we were doing earlier, or were on your own, like you reduced the syllabus and you made different forms of test? So was it effective first, and second, was it accepted by students and parents? And third, what was the result? So when you did this, if you did this, then what was the learning outcome? So in blended learning, we are talking about blended learning, but what was the result and learning outcome when you tested and tried some method which was not given to you by the government or NEP, but you, like we all made our own methods after 22nd April. And workshops were also delivered the way we wanted. So new learning, if you could just highlight one point each. Like we would like to know how did you go about, because I know her school has some 3,000 students, and for me it was a learning just to visit Jammu and see what all is happening in such a progressive state. So if all of you can just sum it up, starting from Kunal, Sunita, and Raju ji and Aftab ji, and even the others who are there in morning can sum it up, because you're also part of Jammu and Kashmir. So let's start with Kunal. Kunal is smiling. I know, Kunal. We have discussed a lot about Kathua, so please, yes, Reeta ji, take over.
Okay, Sapna ma'am, right, I guess even before me, even everybody was smiling. So was Rohini ma'am and Sunita ma'am also, because yes, we have done that. Because the question when it came out that how it was different, reduction of syllabus, doing the pen and paper test, routine test, project-based test, or what was the actual outcome? And one word is yes, we had all done it together and done it very well. And very well accepted by parents, very well welcomed by students, and definitely it was a great learning experience for a principal and the staff. Yes. Like the way we did it was, yes, there were Google forms being taken out. Some people went to the private service providers who were making those question banks. Some people went up to the level of a project. I talk about my own subject. I teach marketing. That is a skill subject for class 11th and 12th. That is what I am teaching in my school. So my paper is almost 40% is to the assessments and 60% goes in pen and paper tests. So in their half yearly and the previous examination, we had a very good way. Whatever we learned, we told them, okay, now let's make a PPT out of it, add some videos. I did a very small thing with them. I told them, take Coke, which is a good beverage brand, and change the whole marketing strategy and the tagline. So we divided them into groups. They made beautiful presentations out of it. All are available on my website and things. And the way they came out was exceptionally good. I mean, the invitees they were told that let's send it to those people, to Coke people and all, and let them see what kind of difference children can make when you give them a different platform to perform. Probably in the classroom, I would have been given them a pen and paper test, given them an objective examination, a subjective examination, and my work is over. But with this module, where this blended learning is actually integrated into the children, and so is the case with the younger kids, the pre-primary, primary kids. Whatever activities were planned for the year, they were conducted the way it was, and the participation of parents were amazing. We are sitting at school, we are sitting on Zoom, we can just talk to them. But if you have to make a model, if you have to prepare them for some speech, if you have to prepare them for next tempo, parents' contribution was immense. So motivation from teachers and the contribution of parents welcomed this blended learning thing, and it went out as a wow.
So where is the confusion? There's no confusion. You're all set for NEP. Where is the confusion, Sunita?
There is no, I personally don't think there's any confusion, but the only hitch is the right implementation. Because whatever policy comes, whenever policies comes, we do a lot of deliberations. And practically on ground, when we have to implement it, as edu leaders of the country, we also have to come together, make a blend of our own thoughts, our own processes,
Yes.
and make this NEP happen.
So Raju,
I'll tell you one thing.
One second. Raju, you have a college also. So do you think that transitional change from school to college, all you're able to manage from preschool to middle school to college to, and you're part of, all of you are part of such big forums, which I know, which let's not discuss on. So how are you able to blend and combine all these models together and take it as a chairperson? That goes because all of them are chairperson and chair leaders and principals. So how do you take that forward? Whether it is Raju ji, Nandan ji, Sunita ji, Rohini ji. So any ji, if I've forgotten, then that also ji. Kunal ji, yes. You're on mute. आप mute पे हैं. You're on mute.
Okay. Since this happened all of a sudden, and it happened when the new session was about to start, so colleges were deferred much more because the new admissions were happening at that time. So the colleges started the online process, and all that started much later in the colleges. Like we have a law college, and we have a B.Ed college. So the process started much later in the colleges, and by that time we had fine-tuned from the school as to how to go about it. So, the teachers were trained since we had that much time, and especially in the colleges, schools, we have this, smart classes everywhere. But in colleges, we did not have that. So they needed that extra bit of training, those people in the colleges, for the so that extra bit of training was given by experts to the teachers, and then they're taking the thing forward. So it's happened quite smoothly in colleges also, as the struggle from the schools was taken there, since we had that time gap.
Sapna, I would like to continue with the Kunal, because I wanted to ask a question to Kunal. Kunal, we want to know from you, because we know that use of digital teaching learning is costly. It's any module making and anything in a story form is really costly affair. So do you expect something from the government, that government support should come, or you're expecting, like in Jammu Kashmir, you need to have some library where everybody is putting their material and then you can use? So what are the process you are thinking, how to enhance this process?
That was a very tricky question for me to answer. When you're going to government and asking them how they can help or how can they be a part of it. Being in a private school, and I guess we all are here more or less private school people. So though government has not been very empathetic towards our efforts always, but yes, if the role of government can be played, because if you talk about government schools, you talk about army funded schools, there are a lot of lot of inputs being given by them which can actually enhance the teaching learning processes. Private schools normally suffer because we have limited resources. Though private schools are giving the best of education, you go anywhere in the country, no doubt about that. But the way in the last 8 months, private schools have been suffering, because when it's you are not a government aided school, you're not a funded school. You are a school which is making resources within yourself and then utilizing those resources for the betterment of your children and your parents and students. But when you are, when suddenly this thing came up, I'll be very blunt on that. People came up saying, "बहुत पैसा है, 10 साल से कमाया है, 20 साल से कमाया है, business बना लिया है school ने." So I just want to ask from this forum and towards those people who are making such comments, I won't say allegations, who are making such comments, if you are working for the last 20 years and you have invested, your hard-earned money into your schools, into your organization, into your education institutions, who stops you for being a right to earn? If anybody, I'm working, I'm getting salary paid. If I don't get my salary paid for 2 months, third month, probably I would start looking for something else. Can my school owner do that? My school owner cannot do that because he is not the one who can just change after 2 months, or she can change after 2 months. They are sitting here for years together and they will be here for years together. So in this time, the government should have had some lucrative policies towards private institutions. We don't say you give us funds, but at least let us work the way we are working so that we can generate funds. I understand a lot of issues are happening around. Hundreds and hundreds of students, rather thousands of students in every school. How is it possible for us if we are not being properly funded, one, or whatever resources we are utilizing or whatever resources we have, and if we are even stopped from using those resources, how would a private school survive in this situation? We all given a lot of deliberation upon people, suffering of people. We are going, we just look at a Facebook post and write a comment, sad, hard to learn that somebody is off money, somebody is off food. But why it is always assumed that, the private schools have some kuber ka khazana, that they will take out everything from there and things will move up? It's not possible. So yes, if government can actually come up with certain schemes, as you said, something like a blended learning platform where you can have it together, where you can put all the resources together, that can be done. That is one thing. And at the same time, make certain lucrative policies where private schools can survive. So that is what I think. I mean, I have the best of people over here to answer. So I'm probably not the right person to answer this question, but this is what I think.
Very rightly you have said, we don't want money from the government, but we want a good policy. So that can really help the private sector, private schools for that matter. So we are talking about the expenses. Now I'm going to Mrs. Sunita Gupta. Madam, according to you, which method of blended learning will be more effective in this COVID time, or maybe after COVID also? Because now we got experience of 6 months and we have really run our school very well. So maybe for the participants' benefit, if you can tell us the different methods, they will also like to learn from your expertise.
Yeah, Rita, we have already talked about some blended methods which we are using. But the point here, which I would like to insist, whether it is online program conducted by the schools, or it is a self model, or the driver model, whatever you talk about. But the point, we have to focus whether self-blend model is there, online driver model is there, which is where the child or the student or the user needs to take a call, what kind of enhancement in studies or in the content that he wants, he'll have the right to choose that. But the point here is, one of the major stakeholder who is providing this information is our teachers. So I would insist, when Kunal has very rightly put the difficulties faced during this time, whether it is resource, whether it is technology, nothing can be implemented till we talk about our teacher capacity building program. So I suggest, as Kunal has talked about, how government can come to help in this education sector during this COVID time, or even later when it comes to the implementation, is the capacity building program of the teachers. Because our teachers were trained for so many years through the B.Ed colleges or through the experience for a particular kind of teaching, where I think they were so happy using the textbooks and not going beyond it, or even if going beyond it, it was very limited information which they were using. But now the time is digitalization, which this digitalization is available to the teachers as well as the students and the parents. So now the teacher, I remember getting few phone calls from the teachers when they started this online program, wanting to know my think, ma'am, how did it go? Were the teachers understanding, the students understanding? Did parents comment something? So the point is, we all are into this situation, knowingly or unknowingly. But the point is, it is now we look up to the government to bail us out through two particular. I think the government has already announced a NEFT, which is going to be a forum for the technology.
Yeah.
Because see, we all are doing our best in this field. What it was a clamoring initially, because during the lockdown time, everybody was putting their best effort. But the point is, now is the streamlining. When it is streamlining, it has to be properly managed. So I think a very good idea which has come to is the government decision to start or establishment of NEFT, which is the National Educational Technology Forum. This is going to help in working on the advancing core artificial intelligence research and working on the other deploying the application based research and advancing research, because this is going to streamline the technology usage in the school. And I think another very important thing is capacity building and the collaboration in the studies by the teachers. I think again the government will require the government help here, where I think even if whatever way they want the teachers to enhance their program, and which will be used in the by the B.Ed colleges as well. So because I think the private schools are working, we are unaided schools, we are working to our best capacity, but we definitely look up to the government for this help to our desired results, what the government wants. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's a very good
Raju,
takeaway.
you have a preschool, you have a primary school, you have a college. I really want to know from you, with having this kind of network where 2G is there, how you are solving this issue with students as well as with the staff. Because earlier panel which we had, it was so difficult to listen because it was not clear, the voice was going haywire. This panel, it is still doing very well till now. But Mr. Raju, how in your institutions, with this kind of network, you are solving the problem of blended learning?
Like I said earlier also, what has happened is 2G is an issue.
Yeah.
2G is an issue, but we have, kind of been able to convince the parent community to get Wi-Fi networks.
Okay.
So, and most of them have got it. And but still, in some areas where these lines are not there, so there we, when the class work is going on, then we advise the student to shut off the video so that at least the audio is clear. So you have to make do with what is available. But that's a very small number of students who are in those kinds of areas where the Wi-Fi is not there. But otherwise, people have got nice setups at home now, because it's been going on, and the parents also need it. Online shopping, not many people are going out, so they have upgraded. We have been able to, they had, right now people don't have money, so to spend anything extra pinches them. So what has happened is that we have kind of educated them as to why it's absolutely essential. It's something which will be useful in times to come also. It's not that, okay, this will go waste, the investment on a Wi-Fi or the equipment will go waste. It'll be there. So they have been able to, I think 95% parents have installed their Wi-Fis. Only 5-7% are there on. And then we keep on telling them, like I said, keep off the video and all that. So I think, and then teachers, if there's somebody in close vicinity, teachers call them at home. Okay, you come here, and any aspect that you have not understood or anything. So that kind of hand-holding also is being done to students who are in close vicinity to various teachers. It's a large school. We have about 200 teachers there. So somebody or the other is in close vicinity. So we are helping in that aspect also.
So you have a really big school. 200 teachers is a really big number. So that's very interesting. Now,
I would just now say that we'll be winding up now.
Yes.
So Aftab Ahmed ji, I would like to ask you that आपका स्कूल श्रीनगर में है और 3 लोग तो आफ्ताब के नाम से ही वहाँ पे हैं. So the question which has come is like वहाँ पे जो आपका एरिया है Tyndal-Biscoe, Mallinson सोसाइटी, तो वहाँ पे कितने बच्चे हैं और जो आपने अभी ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग के बारे में बताया है. So the question which is being posted is कि how far it is applicable there जो आप बता रहे हैं और जो बच्चे सुन रहे हैं, तो ये क्वेश्चन कितना जेल करता है साथ में.
Ma'am, we are having a school here with 2 branches. Biscoe, this is Tyndal-Biscoe, that is the boys' school, and Mallinson school, which is for girls. So both the institutions are situated in the same campus in Lal Chowk. So I would like to say here that yes, we have more than 5,000 students. They are all connected to us through online Zoom classes. And even apart from that, we give the assignments to them, which they bring physically here, but through their parents. So which is being checked on a regular basis. And then apart from that, we just concluded the board pre-board exams also, where we had given the assignments to the students, pre-board question papers to the students, and we have asked the parents to cooperate with us and held these examinations in front of you. So they did it wonderfully well. They brought it here, and it was almost 100% that students have done their work, their pre-board question papers, they have solved them, and we have checked and we have returned them before their board exams started. So it is a wonderful experience actually, though it is a 2G network which is very slow. We are trying, as the panelists said, yes, we are now having an improved way, because now the Geo fiber and with the invent of BSNL fiber, it is increasing day by day. It is improving day by day.
So एक और क्वेश्चन जो ऑडियंस इतने क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहे हैं कि 99% ऑफ गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स एंड अदर स्कूल्स डू नॉट हैव इंटरनेट फैसिलिटीज. आप वाईफाई तो आप इज अ ड्रीम. सो what you are saying, all of you are saying something, and the questions are coming is you're talking about city and well-off of families, but it's a very little bit complicated to do online teaching in poor network. Border areas and where most of the students belong to the financial background class. Still, we are trying our best. And, yeah, so
we are having a rural branch also in Tangmarg. So where we get students physically to the school, here we have a space for them, and we maintain the SOPs, and we are giving this physical teaching there. So we help in that way also, and wherever even some students do come to our school in the Srinagar city also, wherever they have the problems, one by one, we ask a group of 10 students to come, and then we are giving them, we are imparting them whatever they need. They are clear, and then we do care calls also for their doubt clearances also.
I think everybody is writing, Avneet Buddhiraj, Vichal Sharma, you are getting your answers, what they are saying. So with that, how to overcome the financial hindrances because of which there are siblings, they face problems attending online classes. So आप सभी से पूछना चाहते हैं कि आप इतना ज़्यादा outreach में भी सब believe करते हैं. So is anything which you would like to tell your parents and the marginally जो weaker backgrounds हैं कि how are you helping them in connecting with internet? That question goes for all the second panelists, then the first panelist. So second round of panelists and then the first round of panelists. Yes.
Sapna, this is a very relevant question. See, we are talking about the private schools, we are talking about the urban students, but I think the most important thing we have to keep in mind is J&K is still about more than 50% is rural belt. And I think with this connectivity issue is more there, and yes, affordability would also be there. So here I again would insist the role of the government, and it's a huge challenge for the government presently. in this COVID times and the lockdown and the implementation of NEP. So I think it is a difficult period for them to make all adjustment, teacher training, everything has to be done suddenly. But I think when I attended the Nottingham program, I have realized whether in London or Singapore, they're only talking about complexes of schools where they are putting in one school advanced with the advanced technology, which is taking care of a group of schools, whether they're government schools, they are urban or rural. And I think it can do very well if it, and because when we attended that workshop come seminar, and I found it was proving very useful when we interacted with the various school heads there. So I think this challenge can be overcome, and where I think this can be collaborative effort can be made.
Yeah, what you said is so correct, because NEP is also talking about a group of school complexes and sharing of resources. All these things are mentioned in NEP also. So I want to ask, what is your suggestion for these government schools and where the 2G is there? What do you think? Can government think of a PPP model where private public partnership ensure the connectivity and teacher training?
And that Dr. Reeta, already the principal secretary has said that he's already proposed a PPC model.
He has proposed.
Now, now we would like to know from you, all the management who are sitting there, like Ms. Sunita Gupta has already given her access to her campus to take on these government schools, which we are already in talk with her. What about the other private schools, so that we can take this, the whole concept of this webinar is that how we can blend the private and government schools together and build some synergy. So would you like to offer some synergy where we can improve the quality of internet, improve the quality of participation, as well as your premises, which can help other children to lead on? So one takeaway, and then we will wind up this session. Thank you so much. Sunita, thank you so much. Now, Rohini, Rajuji, Kunal, Aftab, Nandanji, please.
Yeah. Should I, ma'am? Should I come in?
Please, please, please.
Yes, ma'am. So I've been listening to this, that technology, of course, and Sapna, ma'am, you know very well where our school is situated.
I had the honor to do some workshop, and I was exactly. So blessed that आप कहाँ school चला रही हैं, वहाँ तो बॉम्ब ही पीछे फट रहे थे.
Exactly. So very relevant question some people have put, that what about government schools where 90% parents don't have the internet connectivity? Same goes with us. I won't say 90%, but 30% parents in the border belts still don't have 2G also, not to talk about Wi-Fi. And they are from the backgrounds which they cannot afford to have the Wi-Fi systems at home also. So for that, what we have been doing till now, that certainly we, record certain voice messages for such children, or maybe to the WhatsApp call conferencing between 2 to 3 people. And the most importantly, our teachers who are living that side and not even exactly in the same, village, maybe few kilometers away, they make efforts to choose a central place and where they can call 3 to 4 children together, and whatever throughout the week they have taught, they do, give them the actual class there, sitting in one
that was said by Aftab ji also. So I think you both are facing the 2G internet, and आप सब कहीं group में बच्चों को बुला के सिखा रहे हैं. Anything else apart from this anybody is doing who would like to share and would like to contribute with the government perspective, that how we can approach the government with you as private sector?
Can I? What we I speak? Or,
yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so what we are doing, see, like you said, how there are many students who are not being able to pay their fee right now because of the financial issues with their parents. So, many of them we have waived off the fees, large number of students, and we have not disconnected their classes. so that
Very nice.
they don't miss out on anything like this. So that is one step we have taken. And second step, if and when the government wants our support, our campuses for anything fruitful, anything good for the society, we are there. We are there to give our after school classes can be
Wow.
held. Whatever initiative the government wants, we are there to help them. So
Thank you,
there's no
Sunita ji,
going
Raju ji,
back
and
on that.
Rohini ji.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's what we want to hear, that I can really speak about this model to other states and we can talk about it. Nandan ji, anything? Yes.
Yeah. Personally, our school, we've been a pioneer here. Like Rohini ma'am knows, we've adopted around.
Yes, you already are into PPT models, sir.
We've already into PP models 6 years earlier or 7 years earlier. And over a period of time, we adopted 6 schools, government schools, then moved on to some other schools. But what's happened is now, since March, that whole model has collapsed because no kids are coming in those schools, no kids are coming in our schools. So again,
You're again
yeah,
recharging yourself to.
And what we've done is last, I think 8 years now, we run a scholarship called Rai Bahadur Jodhamal Kutyala Scholarship, where we give up to 10,000 rupees to girl children studying in the border belt, where the schools are hit by this cross-border terrorism. But again, that's again a very, very small drop in the ocean. In the larger context, the government will have to pitch in. Like I said, we've adopted 6 schools and 3 are still functional, but there are no kids there. The model has collapsed.
Wow.
And again, for the parents who are finding difficult to pay, we have waived off a lot of fees. We're giving a lot of scholarships.
Thank you so much.
That's again a very minor drop in the ocean.
But that drop in the ocean makes a lot of difference. So please.
Even we have been doing, Sapna ma'am, like though in our school during the good times without pandemic, our nearby government schools, we have been calling those children whenever we get something new introduced in the school. Like we introduced smart classes that time, we called those children to our school to see and see how these smart classes also work. We have been having friendly matches with them, for
that's very nice.
Cases.
So Kunal again is nodding at everything. So Kunal is continuing with all this because when I spoke to him, he says that he's sitting with all his mentors. So I think Kunal, you'll agree with all this. Anything else you want to add? Yeah, Aftab ji, you want to add, and then we call in Sumaya for just closing the session.
No, I mean, that's really nice, and whatever, because I was come to the point of Nandan sir, because we know the school for last so many years. My own son is studying this school, so the way they are doing the PPT programs is commendable. Their scholarship programs are amazing, and so is Rohini ma'am and Sunita ma'am schools also. So we are also doing our bit. We have come up with the last 2 years. We are giving 100% fee scholarships to the students who are appearing with more than 95% marks in their board exams in class 10th. This year, we had the UT topper for class 10, so we gave her a complete fee waiver for the next 2 years. And when it comes to the economically weaker, we have a Dr. Lalita Memorial Scholarship Scheme for them, where we are going up to 50%, even depending upon 100%, depending upon what the situation is. So these 2 programs, our school is also running. And what we did in a small bit thing was Hubs of Learning which CBSE has created. In this Hubs of Learning also, what we are doing in Udhampur is that we have collaborated for our teacher training programs. Rather than, one school having all the burden, because now it is pandemic. So still now, even if we are calling up any resource person, all the 5 schools which are under our hub, they come together, collaborate for these things. Students' activity, exchange of books. Last time, the very big challenge came in April was a lot of people were not able to procure notebooks because of the lockdown. Either the stock was not there. So what we did was we spoke among the Hubs of Learning schools and we were able to arrange books for
this. Thank you so much. I think with this eminent panelist and so much of is happening, nobody can say Jammu and Kashmir has problem with internet because despite having problems, you're doing so well. So this is what we wanted the world to know, Sapna, and we wanted ourselves to know.
Yeah, Sapna, I am coming in for a second. See, you have learned we all are doing our bit. So here I would want, because for the right results of the NEP, I think the government needs to formulate a policy. It is not one school can do it. We all were designed, the program was designed, but it collapsed. So I think now is the time we need to streamline it in such a way that it is successful for times to come, whether it is adopting the government schools or it is collaboration of training the teachers, providing our facilities, our campus. So I think this is what I would
Thank
like
you
to
so
say.
much. I think all the government officials who are there, they have been listening to it and they've been sending me messages that we have, Somaya, we have bridged the gap between the government and private sector in a big way by organizing this. So thank you, Dr. Reeta.
I see a lot
Somaya,
of people from the Directorate of Education who have, posting comments, and they are actively participating in it. I think we've had a fascinating morning. First, hearing our Dr. Singh, who laid out, despite bad internet connectivity, he did lay out a comprehensive vision of taking the Union Territories of Jammu and Kashmir forward in terms of implementing NEP 2020. But there are many, many challenges, and COVID-19 has literally thrown a spanner in the works. I don't know if you all are aware that the recent ACER report, the Annual Status of Education report of Pratham, says that only 30% of children in India over the last 8 months have had access to digital education. And of this, only 11% have had continued access to online learning. So this is a big challenge. We are facing a situation where over the next 6 months, already in the past 6 months, 20 million children have dropped out of the education system. This is a colossus waste of human resources, which we are seeing in this country. The government is not doing enough, whether it's the union government or state government. Countries around the world, including the US, have offered huge pandemic aid packages to their education institutions. In US, it's 13 billion. And yesterday, Dr. Nirmala Sitharaman announces a package for the stressed sector, but leaves out the most stressed sector of India, which is the education sector. The private schools, in fact, over the last 6 months have done a fabulous job, and all of you need to be commended for doing what you're doing, despite the government, not because of it. In education world, we've been strongly advocating that the government needs to come in at this time, because the learning loss suffered by children, the World Bank is estimating that $400 billion will be lost in terms of future earnings and in terms of the economy. So the learning loss cannot be ignored. I think through this discussion, and especially for a state of J&K, which has been neglected in terms of education, particularly in terms of government schooling system over the past, I think, 5 decades, the government needs to step in and especially make digital access a fundamental right. I think that's most important now, like access to electricity, access to water. Digital access with this COVID-19 pandemic should become a right of every child in India to be able to access online education. And this is also the time where I think public opinion must strongly be in favor of letting private schools do what they're doing best. Over the past 6 months, because of arbitrary circulars across the country which state governments have been passing in terms of controlling fees, in terms of passing contradictory circulars to parents, pay fees, don't pay fees. In fact, a situation has arisen where already over 10,000 private budget schools across the country have shut down. Millions of children more are going to be out of school. So through this discussion and through all the people who are watching us, I'd like to make this appeal that government, please look after your own children enrolled in your schools. The private schools are perfectly capable of collaborating and cooperating with their parents' body to solve any challenges which arise for fees disputes, because every parent in India does not want to lose, forget about 1 year, even 1 month of education. I thank all our eminent panelists and Dr. Singh for sparing the time. I think we need to keep this conversation going because Indian education is actually at the brink. It can either go this way or that way. The learning loss of children needs to be stopped right now, and we all have a responsibility towards the 20 million children who are perhaps forced into early marriages, child labor. We are looking at a colossus loss of human capital, which we are seeing. And all of you all have put the proposition together. Government and private sector needs to work together. If it is to save education from the pandemic or to implement from the new National Education Policy 2020. Thank you so much.
So thank you. I would like
all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Soumya. And she rightly pointed out that maybe after this discussion, because this is our 4th state webinar, and everywhere we are getting positive response from the government and from the private schools, that whenever you all are voicing your opinion, including the government is showing the support. So it's all being done. After the webinar, the principals, the management are meeting the secretaries and they are taking it forward. So I'm sure with that 6% of that education budget which has been given to the state, and as I was talking to the secretary yesterday, he is just taken over in September. He said there's a long wait. He has many ideas because he has already done it in Navodaya when he was chairman for Navodaya schools. He knows what he's doing, and he is all set to partner with private schools. He is all set to bring out new changes, and that's why he's like kudos to him, Soumya, because as he joined in September and the office is being shifted from Srinagar to Jammu. It's not been 10 days also that they have set up their office. That's why that connectivity was not. But he said, maybe after this, it will be winter will set in. I have more work ahead lying. So why don't you do it now so that I can pass this message? We were, yes, there was some connectivity issue, but nevertheless, we got to hear his views. And I think you all are set to make a difference in education with such bright management. And what I like, Sumi, about this state is that you can see none of the panelists have left. They are here with us since 10:30. And this reminds me of Madhya Pradesh, that none of us are ready to leave. They are all there because we are talking about that state. I would also like to a deep thank you and gratitude to all the ones who have made it possible to made it possible to reach out to each and every small district of, as somebody pointed me out, and I'll correct, of Kashmir and Jammu. That is Dr. Manhas. He has been director and he has helped me a lot. Then Dr. Arun Manas, Dr. Anuradha ji, who has also supported us a lot. Dr. Vishwajit Singh ji is there, but along with him, nobody can do this alone. So there's a huge team who was working behind to make this webinar so successful, that till now we have some 380 participants or 45 participants. So that is only because of the work which has been done with the help of the state. So the entire state, the entire management of Jammu and Kashmir, the panelists who are there, our moderator, Dr. Reeta Sonawat, Sumaya, and I, Education World and Edu Start Solutions, would like to thank you and wish you a very, very happy Deepavali. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you to Dr. Manhas and
happy Children's Day too. We
Wonderful.
Happy Children's Day too.
And we have a thanks to Dr. Manhas and Dr. Anuradha also, because their support is very much required. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my panelists.
And I pass your messages, and I'm already taking this project a little ahead. So we will work together. We already have started discussing on various things. So I'll get back to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Bye. Thanks.
Happy Diwali.
Yeah, happy Diwali to all. Thank you.
Happy Diwali, everybody.
Happy Diwali to all.